Hello? We are here with another episode of Next Up with Thoughts, and I'm here with Teresa Law.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And her nameless water that we have not speak of.
That's right. I didn't want to, give free advertisement to the one. It's Nestle.
It's fine. As far as I say, I always talk about no one's watching. It's fine. You don't have to. Yeah, like legit. I think Andy and I spent like 30 minutes talking about no one's watching. Like this, my mom. My mom watches every episode, and she would just critique me.
Oh,
I'll get
your
notes.
mom's watching.
I'll get notes from my mom every episode.
Oh,
And
see.
yeah, and they're just like, you touch your face a lot, mijo. You don't do this. They're like, it's just the notes. I'm like, okay, mom, all right, like thank you for watching, but every episode.
But that's good though. Your mom's watching. You got at least one.
That's
viewer.
it.
That's
Just
all you
one.
need.
Just one.
It's more than most.
You know what? You're not wrong. And I appreciate you being here. I like that we got to do an open mic together because I have not been doing any mics at all.
And then you won. You won set of the night. Not even of that mic of the night. So you beat 20 comics.
Was there 20?
Because they had a mic before that, so you beat those people. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because set of the night.
Yeah, not just set of that.
I actually didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so you beat like the 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but your set was hilarious.
It was.
That's why I thought you were lying about not doing mine.
No, I legit felt. Well, I felt nerves going in. Well, because Andy called me like an hour before.
Yeah.
And his roommates all came with. And he went to me and he was like, "Hey, I'm a little nervous about like, I don't want to bring them. You know what? Like,
no.
I don't know if you feel this way about Do you feel weird about your friends coming to like open mics versus shows?
Yeah, I don't take them to mics because also you don't know who the people are going to be. Like, you don't know if they're going to be rude and like start heckling. Not heckling, but like being mean to the audience. Because sometimes open mics do that, especially like to Asian people. Like some of the comics start being mean to Asians. So like, yeah.
Then it's no bueno. So
it's no bueno.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but it's like you don't want your friends to. I try to tell like my friends, I thank you for wanting to support me, but like just don't come to like mics are like. They're just kind of whatever, and I feel like if a friend comes, I have to like not try what I was gonna try and like try my more like polished stuff.
Yeah.
So he called me, and he was like, "Dude, like, fuck, now I don't want to try. I gotta do like whatever with my polished stuff and do that." And he was like, and I just kept being like, "Dude, you're gonna bomb." Like just fucking with him. And then I thought he had a really good set
his
too.
set was good too.
It was really good, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm after him."
No, your set was. Everyone's set was really good. I was like, everyone's bringing like real material. They weren't like practicing.
No, it was. I think all around, it was like a very good mic.
It actually seemed more like a show than anything.
It
was
did,
good,
right?
Actually, so
I had
was
very show. You and I had like very positive, laughing energy.
Oh yeah, we loved it. It was so fun.
It was a good mic.
Yeah, it's so funny because Bryson actually sent me an email after. He's like, "Thanks for bringing your friends." I was like, "I didn't mean to bring friends. Like, I just happened."
Oh yeah, because I knew it through you. I told you. I did I think I took a picture of you, or maybe he did the pictures.
The picture and I posted it.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I just looked at the picture and I found his name and I messaged him. I'm like, dude, I gotta come to your mic.
So maybe I did bring people on accident.
You definitely brought all
and
those.
I remember I told I about it, and then I guess did you tell Andy, or did Andy find it?
I told Andy.
Okay, but then I guess it did come from me. And I told you saw it from me, and told Andy. So then I guess I did actually bring
you brought
all the people.
You get all the credit for that, Mike.
I get all the credit.
But you've been doing online Zoom shows, right, and mics?
I was doing mostly online. So I was doing so what happened is I was staying good. I was like online only. And then I was dating this guy, and then he turned out he was cheating on me. And so after I found he was cheating on me, I was like, I couldn't trust him. Who knows what he was out doing? And after that, I was kind of like, well, if he was cheating on me, I wasn't really that safe. So then I started going out into real person mics again.
Is that why you started going out?
So I started going out again in February because I was so good the whole pandemic. And I was dating this guy, but it turned out he was so sneaky. I had no idea what he was doing the whole time. But, I trusted him, so I was staying at home being so good. I thought I was only seeing him. I thought, he was my pod, and it turned out I had no clue what he was doing. So after I found out...
After that, you were just like...
I was like, free Teresa, basically. So,
well, yeah, because your whole set, what day was that? A few days ago, whenever we had the mic, was all about you dating or, dating this younger guy, but then you talking about dating the older guy and, just all of the...
all the crazy
mix of the
people.
dating pool.
Yeah, because I was like being really good, and then after, so the guy that was cheating on me was younger than me, but you know he was married and he was going out to all these places that I don't know where he was going. And
Wait,
so
he was married when you were with him?
turns out he was secretly married. He told me he had a roommate, but his roommate was his wife, so that's why I never went to his place because he said that she was scared of COVID, so I can't come over, and I believed that stuff, right? So. Like,
by the way, we all believe shit. I've been in terrible, like, we're just like, yeah, whatever you say, I believe. I've also been there.
Yeah, because you're also like, why would I not
why?
trust him
Yeah,
at
why
first,
would you?
right?
Why would you lie to me?
Like, why
There's
would
no
you make this
reason.
up? Yeah, and so, but yeah, so I was being really good. Only Zoom shows, only Zoom mics, and then like after I broke up with him in like February, I just started going out. And then once I started going out in February, I was like, it's not that scary. Like people were legitimately at these outdoor mics, like they were sanitizing everything. They were sitting far apart. I was like, why was I so scared for all these months? And then I kind of regretted staying in so much. But then I'm like, you know what, whatever. I still had a good time on the Zoom mics. Yeah.
I never did the Zoom mic.
You just did nothing.
No, I didn't. I really didn't. You have to put it like that. You're like, you did nothing. You were just so.
No, but I'm just like amazed because like the Zoom mics are actually kind of fun.
See, I heard they were like every comic I had on here. Most of them I talked to, except Mike Perkins, I think, said that he didn't. I think he said he didn't mind them, but or actually, no, he told me he didn't like them.
Oh, funny! No, I actually liked them. It depends on which one you do, though, because like if the host has no energy and then everyone else has no energy, it is so boring. It feels like a work meeting. Yeah. But if the people are actually like engaged and laughing and stuff, it feels like you're just talking with friends, like almost like a Google Hangout or something. It just depends on who it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, I should have. I don't know, I was going to do one, but I legit just kind of took a break for a bit. Fine. And then now, after that night, I caught that bug again of like, and now I'm hitting like, hey, we got to go to this mic, and we're going to go to another mic. And yeah, I'm definitely going to multiple like mics tonight. I have my schedule at work already planned out, so I'm definitely doing that.
It's like the old way back. It's like once you get a taste, you go back to your old ways. I'm back to the same.
I felt so good after that. I was driving home like, that was a good set, huh? I should have recorded that. That was good. I felt good. Yeah. And then when you told me I was like, heck yeah, let's celebrate it.
No, but it's true. It's like the minute that I went out in February, I was like, oh my God, this is so fun. I can't believe I've been inside this whole time. And so after that, I was like going out. It just went back to normal. I just was looking for all the like outdoor mics and I was doing it again.
And then you just were back at it. How many mics do you go to now, like a week?
I probably now do, because a lot of times, though, the outdoor ones get canceled because of bad weather. So that kind of happens. But I try to sign up almost every night. Basically the old way. I'm just back to my old ways.
Right, every night?
But then the rain will cancel it. Like, I was going to go to, like, Bryson's mic on Thursday, but since there was rain, I canceled it. Because
Monday and Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Monday, okay.
But I went on Monday, and that was really fun. But then Thursday, the rain, so I just canceled on myself. I just didn't go.
I was going to say, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
I didn't see so.
We all got half of the vaccine.
Oh my God! I was like, I almost got it, and did not get it.
Wait, you didn't get the vaccine?
Mm-mm.
Oh, are you signed up?
I think I can get it. I might get it.
Yeah.
I think with the VA, the veteran hospital thing, they're giving it for the military members, and also I think my restaurant, like it being like a
food.
So I think So I might get it. I was gonna wait for like the first round of people to get it and then get it. I don't know why.
But it's just like whatever. It doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, now I feel like I'm just gonna get it.
Yeah, just get it.
I think I might. You know what? I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, and then, like, you got your little card because everyone's like showing off on social media. It like makes you want to like. It's almost like the I voted sticker. It's like
God,
this is your
so
new thing.
Annoying to me.
Yeah, but it's like it's like you gotta participate.
Oh my God. Because my roommate put his I voted thing on my laptop, and everyone. I didn't know that until for a while. People would just be like, hey, man, like, I'm like, what are you talking about? And then, like, I found out later at the I voted thing. I just feel like that's so much, like, just, like, posting. That's all about, like, just
It's just about posting, but whatever. We're, like, comedians. We want attention,
that's
right?
very much on that.
And then also you let people know, like, come see me. I'm safe.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good way. That's a good way to put that, actually.
Yeah, and then you care about them.
Yeah. See, I didn't think about that. How's your nameless water?
It's delicious. Tastes just like regular water.
Yeah. Just like regular water.
Just regular water with no brand.
And then what do you? So then you go to mics or try to go every night.
Now I do, yeah.
And then what do you do? Like your job?
So I'm a writer for Hustler. So I do that. I've still been doing that, and then
Okay.
I also teach at Flappers. So I'm now I'm now a stand-up level 1 teacher, and I also teach writing classes for them.
Okay.
So I've been kind of like a little bit of everything. So.
Okay. What are your views on teaching like comedy? I know how some comics are all like, you can't teach that. You just have to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a believer? Like, I feel like you can't you can write stuff and do stuff, but is it the same setting in the classroom like you would get like if you go out to a mic? You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's this because, for instance, I started off in classes as well, and so that's why I guess I like teaching it because I never would have started comedy if I didn't take a class because I was too scared. So I think some people are willing to go to a mic and be like fearless.
Yeah,
but I'm not like that. I had to like.
And that's one
so
thing.
scared.
That's one thing too. That I forgot this one guy from Flappers. I remember I hosted the mic there, and a lot of like the newer comics always ask me, so I'm like, oh, keep going to mics or do whatever.
Yeah.
And we were in like this huge Instagram back and forth thing because he was like, well, I'm gonna go to because he bombed one night, which is fine. We all bombed. Dude, it's fine. Like, just keep going. I'm gonna take this class first. But like, if you're you can keep going to mics. I want to get like he was trying to say. I wanted to get perfect, like, before I go. I'm like, you're not going to, like, you got to, like, just...
But it's a personality thing, because I didn't have that personality, because, like, I remember the first time that I bombed, I was so scared. But I also think it's because I was, like... I was still willing to keep going because I was like, well, I'm invested in this. I'm going to try again. But some people will just quit. Like, bombing is scary,
that's a good
right?
point. Okay, that's a good point.
Some people will just be like,
I disregard, like, the mindset of, like, if you bomb, you're like, this feels bad.
But we know what it's like because we bombed enough. Now we're used to it. Now it's like, whatever.
Now it doesn't,
laugh. Yeah, when we laugh about it.
Yeah, now it's more, I would say bombing now feels just,
we're just like, whatever.
Okay, but when you start bombing,
it hurts.
You're just like, I'm not good at this.
Because some people are genuinely scared of public speaking. Like, for them, that is the scariest thing. And so, like, but they really want to try stand-up. So I do think you should take a class. I was like that. Like, when I started off, I used to write my jokes, like, I would type it on a piece of paper, and then I try to, like, read them, and I was, like, so scared.
At the mic, and you just read it out loud?
A little bit. And then, like, I remember one time someone made fun of me for that, and I remember it hurt, because I was like, I know I'm a dork, but, like, I'm just so scared, but I want to do this, but I'm scared, you know? And so, like, for other people who are scared, it makes sense. Like, it takes some confidence to finally just get up there and just talk and not care if you suck or whatever. It takes, like, not a lot of people can build that confidence. You got to give people kind of, like, a chance to build it.
Yeah, their own version of how to get to that.
Yeah, it gives them a safe place. And also, it's a place to make friends. Usually, it's, like, when they're in class, like, not everyone's going to go out and actually become a comic, but at least they'll make friends for that few weeks.
And they have, like, a person to go to mics with, and they have, like, their own.
Yeah, and they have a teacher who will kind of give them feedback and stuff. So I think it's kind of a safe place to explore. So I think it's, maybe not for everybody, but I think, like, at least for me, it really helped.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about your first time you bombed. Do you remember? So how did that go?
So bad. Because I remember I was still a student. And I went to Fourth Wall, but I was like, late night Fourth Wall.
NoHo?
Yeah.
No, see, that's your first mistake.
First mistake. And, like, oh, my God. And I was reading on the piece of paper, and I remember, like, I, like, bombed, but then I sat down, and then I remember this guy, and I actually weirdly have never seen him again. But he started, like, making fun of me. He was like, oh, isn't it funny that, like, Asians are so robotic? And then that girl was, like, a robot reading from a piece of paper. And I was kind of like, what a dick, right? Like, I mean, you're, like, laughing about it because it's so rude.
Yeah, that's what I'm laughing. By the way, I'm only laughing because it's very rude.
It's so rude.
Because whenever someone bombs, unless you know them really well.
Did not know me. He's just
that's why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
It
was so
that's
crazy.
so, like, bizarre rude.
Especially because, like, now that I've been doing it longer, I was like, you can tell when someone's new. You just let it go. He was, like, full out trying to bully me. But what's funny is, like, I think, let's say I was first. He was maybe, like, third. And after that, everyone started to bully him for bullying me. And so I remember I thought that was cool.
Okay.
But, like, I was like, what a dick.
Well, you can tell, again, you can tell right away when someone's new.
Yeah.
And the fact that he knew that and still was like, talking shit, like, and meant it, like.
And he meant it. And not only that, it's like he went after me for like race and for being new. And you're just kind of like, you're a dude. Like, what is wrong with you? You know, he was so
was that
rude.
your first mic ever, or just first time you bombed?
I think that might have been my first mic because I used to do like when I was starting out, do student mics at Flappers, and so it's still another type of like you could read there, and they're nice about it because they're expecting you to be a student.
That's the one where you do the
Sunday
critique
one.
app. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the critique.
Yeah,
after.
I used to do that, or remember pop in. I work Sundays.
Yeah.
So I used to be like, hey, can I just do a quick like second, go back to putting up the sound stuff?
Yeah. But like they're supportive and they know that's how it is. So like I never got to experience what real mics are like.
Oh, yeah.
So then I went to a fourth wall late night mic, and that's when I learned my lesson of what real mics are like.
Yeah,
but it didn't stop me, but it definitely taught me a lesson. It also taught me, like, I'm never going to be a dick like that. Like,
yeah, that's one thing, too.
Yeah,
I believe
never.
that as well. I'm always very, if it's like a new comic or if anyone ever asks me for advice, which I don't know why, don't ask. To be clear, don't ask me for any advice because I don't have anything. I just go up there and talk. I don't know. But if they would ask me, I was always really nice to people and very like going on my way, like, hey, you should do this and try to do that. Just because I remember when I first started, I didn't know any comics or anyone. I just kind of I went from improv to stand up, and I just kept going to mics, and I'm like bombing for months. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, and it's also like, why be mean, right? Like, what's the point? Like, am I gonna feel better about myself for being like a dick to some new person? And also, it's like you don't know who you're being rude to. You could find out later that person's like a TV writer, could have got you a job one day or something. You know, it's just like you better just be nice. So
that's true too. That's actually one good point. It's like whenever it pays to be nice. When I trained this new girl at Flappers, she was like the new sound intern.
Yeah.
And I trained. I was always nice to her. I'm like, she wanted to be a comic, and I was telling her do this and do that. And then she became like the talent coordinator at the Laugh Factory. Or like she was the assistant to the main guy.
Yeah,
and she had the hook up there, and I'm like, and we became cool just because I'm like of that.
Nice.
But I was never always nice to her. Like always like helped her out, and then that pays off. So yeah, being nice.
It really does pay off. It does not pay off to be the dick making fun of some new person.
No.
It never does.
And it's very hard to get away with that at a mic. Like, if you're doing it to be funny, to do a callback, you can kind of, like, get away with it for a little bit. But the minute you keep going at it and, like, your intentions are now, like, to be mean.
Yeah.
If your intentions are to be funny and make fun of them, then you can kind of get away with it.
But even then, it's like what you're talking about. If you don't know them, it gets a little dicey. Where you're like, is it good to make fun of them when you can tell they're nervous or something like that? It's like punching down. Versus like when you're like buddies with someone, you can kind of say whatever you want.
Yeah, there's certain people that if you can go up there and like, if I know you, if I bomb or whatever, and it, like if Annie comes up to me after I bomb, it's like, dude, you fucking sucked up there. Like jokingly, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, it'll be fun. Like, whatever, I did. I don't care.
Yeah.
If it's someone I didn't know, you're right. But also, I guess if you're the host, you have to like save the room or like keep the room in mind. So if a comic bombs, you would have to make a joke about like
something else. You can't be like that comic bombed. You can't say that either.
Make something to like save the room. Maybe even if you have to put the comic down for a second, but like they should know it's like I'm just trying to save, like bring the room up or whatever.
I don't know. Like, I never think the host should acknowledge the person bombed. Maybe like try to save it, but not by saying that person bombed. Because, like, you also, for instance, I remember I did a show once, and this lady was bombing so bad to the point where, like, her mic, she had the mic here, you couldn't even hear her. Like, that's how bad she was, and she was just, like, she wasn't reading, but it felt like she was reading.
I'm, like, feeling like I'm there.
You could feel how bad it was, right? I luckily didn't say anything about how bad she was. No one else said anything how bad she was. Turns out she brought the whole room. The whole room was her family. And so it's kind of like, that was smart. No one knew that was her family, but it was smart to not say anything negative about that lady.
Yeah, because that's true. Actually, in that situation, then they would have just been like...
They would have been like, what you say about my mom? You know, like literally. And so, yeah, I think it's better to just keep going, but don't say anything bad.
That's fair.
Because you just never know. Yeah.
That's a good point. Oh, another thing so wait, you started writing your jokes, you said reading off a paper.
Yeah.
That was your... and now, of course, you don't do that.
Now I just think, and then I just start talking, and then sometimes I'll start talking, and there's no punchline. I'm like, okay, I need to try to come up with a punchline. And then if I can't come up with a punchline,
So you have like,
I'll
an
just
idea
say
in mind? Like, you have... Like, do you have anything written out before you go on, like word for word how you want to say it, or just an idea?
I used to be like that where I would like literally type everything, and I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that when I actually typed the jokes out, when I would say them out loud, they were so like robotic. Like it just wasn't as like organic. And so
Yeah.
I started getting kind of into the habit of, okay, I'll have an idea and I'll write down the words so I remember
Okay.
the thing, and then just go out and then record it, and then kind of like just repeat what I said that worked in
Yeah.
real life. And I felt like that was more natural than when I typed it. It was just so like it was very sharp when I typed it, but it was
Yeah.
also just too obvious that it was written.
It was, yeah, that's one thing I learned. Once I figured that out and changed my way, it totally changed how I did stand up.
Interesting, yeah.
It totally, because I used to be like that too. Like I would go write word for word what I thought was funny, and then I'd go on stage. And I remember it was just like when I very first started. I had a bit about Starbucks, and I did that like a minute or whatever, 2 minutes. And I went into another bit about Starbucks because whatever. And then I was on my third one, and my third one, of course, was at Starbucks. And then as I was saying, and I wasn't really getting, I was getting kind of like, they were funny, so I was getting kind of like just tempered laughs or whatever. But then my third one, I like went off, like I kept thinking in my mind, like I was like, by the way, all my jokes are at Starbucks. That, like I said that. I said that as like just being like real.
Yourself, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, by the way, all my jokes they're all in one location. They're at Starbucks, and then that got the biggest laugh of the whole night because, or not the whole night, but my set.
Yeah.
Because it was natural, and then once I figured, oh, like I can just fake those moments on stage. So I started doing that same line.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, all my jokes, and then I got a big laugh, but everyone thought I was coming up with it then.
Yeah.
But then I started realizing, oh, I can just like figure out these fake, these moments or whatever, and people think it's real. And then once I did that, I'm like, oh my god, I can do this.
Because I used to think that open mic audiences, because it's all comics, was different than a show. But then I'm like, no, it's the same type of people. It's like they might be a little more jaded, maybe, but at the same time, it's like you need to be natural at a mic the way you're natural at a show. It's like you can't be like whenever I go to a show and the people are really robotic, like I can tell. I was like, oh, I can tell you're memorizing. I can hear it. You can just hear it.
There's that thing where you're just like, I can hear this. You're even if you're saying it, but you're reciting, I can hear it. And I think the audience can feel that too.
It's never as funny.
It can be the funniest thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing. But then you hear how it sounds, and you're like, I know. I can tell you, like you practice it, like
too practiced. Yeah, it's better to just go up there and just have an idea and just go for it. And so now I do that more. And now I like just stare at people. Like if they don't start laughing, I just start looking at them and then just hope that the awkwardness will make them laugh.
Oh man!
But that works better.
Very interesting strategy.
No, because when I started though, like back in the student days, I used to like kind of look down because I was so nervous, and it also was like helping me memorize. I was like, okay, but I was so nervous. But now I'm like, are you ready to laugh?
And just stare at people.
But I go from like spot to spot, so I'm not staring too long or it scares them. But I definitely I'm no longer looking at the floor.
Which
I
is
think
good.
That's important. Yeah, the confidence level has definitely gone up.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Let's just imagine just staring at people and laugh. Laugh, people.
But they might laugh out of nervousness. I don't know.
True.
Yeah. But I definitely, that's like one thing that I do too. I try, because I notice some comics will just look at one person, not one person, but maybe one direction only. And I also notice some comics don't look at anybody, or they're kind of like their eyes are off in the thing. But I try to do like different spots, like throughout the whole show.
I've been trying to shift. Before I was the comic you mentioned right before, where I would kind of just look around, not looking at anyone, but like I'm there and I'm like looking around and people think I'm looking at them, but I'm like legit just looking around.
Oh, but they think you're looking
at them.
That's all that matters.
But then I realize like I'm not being, like I should be more present enough to know what's going on. Because I feel like I was so not, like if someone's wearing like a red hoodie or something, it looks, if I can't know that, if I'm not there, because I'm like just, hey everyone, like I should be confident enough to just be there and be like, okay. Be myself, but I'm still like, hey, that person's there, my friend's over there, Teresa's there, wherever. I can be aware of everything and then still be funny. And I've been trying to do that more.
And sometimes too, when you just call people out, they just laugh the whole show.
Yeah, that's actually, and that's happened to me when people called me out or whatever. I'll just start laughing the whole.
I know, like I love it. Every time I get a shout out, like after my set from in someone else's set, I'm like, yeah, I'm more engaged. As long as it's not a rude shout out. Yeah, but I love it if it's like just people acknowledging my set.
I would say our role of people are a very good audience because I was laughing so hard. I know you and I was dying laughing, especially at that comic Miguel Carrito, whatever his name was.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I thought obviously his jokes were not landing the way he wanted them to land, but the funniest shit was like him. I told you that night, like just doing a joke and nothing, and just being like. And the other time, I just went right into it with that no acknowledgement of it, and it was perfect.
When he left, it was perfect too because like the line he said as he's running away, like it was almost like theater. Like the whole thing was just like perfect. Where I'm like, he was like an interesting character. Yeah. Like I think he's an interesting guy.
I would say that's being interesting like that. You're just like I would watch him again.
Yeah, like you remember him.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, I can't remember. I remember our little row. I don't remember anyone else what they talked about. I remember him exactly, his jokes, his setup, the way he did the punchlines, the way it didn't work, but he went through it. He left on a dark joke and walked away. And American Psycho. Be part 2. They already made part 2 and just kept going. I'm like,
and he got such a big laugh. He was so memorable. Like you just want to see more. Yeah, you just don't know what he's gonna do. Like there's another comic. He hangs out at Flappers a lot. He takes classes. His name's Andrew Kim. Have you ever seen him? He's like an old Korean man. And, like, he will just do stream of consciousness. Like, he one time did a whole 5 minutes about how he likes to run and then eat Panda Express after. And it was just so funny because he was like, I love to get beef and broccoli for, like, $6.99 or something. He, like, named the price. It was just so funny. But, like, we're just dying because it was just, like, it felt so real. But if you watch it multiple times, he does it the same way and gets the same big laughs.
But that's the best part when it feels natural and
it's so natural.
And you do it again the same way. You're like, oh, he's.
Yeah, and I actually look for him. I'm always like, is he gonna perform again? Because I don't think he does this like regularly. I think it's only through Flappers, through classes. So you kind of have to like look for him. Like, when is he gonna come back? But
that's fair.
I love him.
I would say once you get to a point where comics want to watch you or they go to the room to watch you.
Yeah, they look for you.
Then I feel like you're getting. Somewhere you're being like, oh, like if you knew Callahan Welsh.
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
I loved whenever he went on. I was always like, oh, what's he gonna do? And I got to a point where I'm like, oh, I want to be that person to be like, oh, Patrick's coming on. What is he like? Something. That's why I'm trying to. Once you get the respect of comics, I feel it's easier to get laughs.
Yeah.
But also, it's hard to get there. But when you get there, I feel like it would be good.
He was actually bringing mic condoms before coronavirus. You know, like
he
would cover it, and I was like, he was on it before everyone else, and now it's like a thing to do. Where I was like, he knew. he knew to clean that mic.
He was way ahead of his time.
Looking back, I'm like, mics are so dirty.
Yeah.
And, like, no one was ever cleaning
never thought
them.
about that.
And, like, sometimes, like, people be like, I'm sick, and then cough all over the mic and then give it to you next. I'm like, what was wrong with us? Like, how did we never think that was gross?
Like, it was okay.
Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, he was an innovator.
Well, Mike's always felt that grimy vibe anyway.
And they should have been, right? Or, like, looking back, like, why did we get grimy stuff?
Like, have you been, it's closed now, it's a Next Stage Theater, the Mike. That was the shittiest mic I've ever been to in my life. It happened like at 1:30 in the morning or 1 in the morning. Like, it was late.
Oh, okay.
It was always the last mic we went to. Not everyone, but you never went there to work on material. You went there to get thicker skin because you're not going to get laughs. The setup was like a little small, like theater where they do like plays like small, like size of this room, like small.
Oh.
And they'll have it, and they'll like homeless people go there. People they have your own drink, so people have bottles and beer and just like legit a bottle of whiskey and like be laying down. People, it's like randomness of like all the people there, and it was like a grimy ghetto vibe, and it was just the worst.
But how often did you go?
I mean, that one I think they had it 5 days a week, but it was always the last stop. Like if I did like
Oh, wow.
3 mics, like that mic, that mic, that mic. Okay, I'll go to the next stage and finish off.
It's so crazy though because this whole mic thing, it's a lifestyle. Like, you know, we haven't been doing it as much because there's less options, but it's like, it's kind of crazy to think that that's used to be our life. That we would spend like 4 hours at least at night, like just going from mic to mic, driving all over town, paying for stage time just to talk for 5 minutes. Like, what were we doing? But I'm like, we're going to go back and do it again.
Crazy,
but
right?
that's what we're doing. Like, what's wrong with us?
We really like attention.
We do like attention, but and that's what's kind of interesting because I talked to some people, the people who love Zoom mics, they kind of were like, I want to stay on Zoom. Because, like, you can legitimately, because I wrote a ton of stuff during the pandemic, and I worked it out on Zoom, and then when I did it in real life, it actually worked. It did translate. So I was like, oh, weird. So it did help my writing process, but at the same time, I'm like, I want to go back out in real life because there's a high you get from
it's a very much a different. I didn't do Zoom, but I know the high of being there, and also part of the fun is hanging out with comics in the back of the room and like just the hang. The hang is probably one of my favorite things of mics. Like doing material is great, but just the hang after everyone's just around there bullshitting like that to me is.
But that's only, I guess, if you know all the... And I guess at this point we kind of do know all the people, so I guess it's a little different. But I guess the people who, like, don't have those connections... But then again, they can't build the connections.
That's one reason to stay.
Hard. Yeah.
That's one reason they're like, oh, go to the comic store and just hang around there and, like, just build anything. Just be with people, be late with them, and just hang out.
Yeah, but I guess it's hard if, like, if you're completely new and, like, you started off on Zoom and then trying to, like... You know, because at the same time, it's intimidating, right? Where, like, you're like, oh, those 5 people are best friends. They don't know that we 5 people came separately and just saw each other there and, like, hanging out. They probably think, like, oh, they rolled up together. I can't get into this clique. But it's not true. But it probably looks like that. Yeah. And most comics, I think, like, even though we're outgoing on stage, are kind of introverted. It's like, we don't really know how to go up to... Most people can't go up to people and just, like, start talking.
I'm not. I'm pretty much the...
You're extroverted.
Yeah, I'm pretty extroverted.
And then there's some who are extroverted too, but like we also see that like some people just want to like only talk to their friends.
That's true. I did see some comics when they go up and then after they're just very...
Yeah, they're awkward and they run away.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? You just killed right now. Like, what do you...
Yeah, and I used to think sometimes people were rude when they wouldn't say bye and stuff, but now I kind of get it where I'm like, no, sometimes it's just a social awkwardness. We just have to accept it. It's like, it's fine. But that's like the game of it. It's just... Yeah, but we start to actually kind of, like, love people's quirks. Like, the longer we do these mics, we're like, oh, I know you're going to do this.
Yeah,
and you're gonna do that.
I do love that, too, when you know someone, like, oh, they're going to do that thing, or, oh, do that, or whatever whatever thing is. I'm like, I like that.
But then, like, new comics, though, they're scared. I think that's why I go back to the whole class thing. It's like, they're probably so scared to see, like,
are you just here to promote your classes? People. Is that what you want from here? Everyone, she teaches at Flappers from 9 to...
Mrs. Jara, please come to class. I know that you're the only viewer of this show. Please come to class. Bring Patrick.
Miss Jara. Miss Jara, please come.
Please come.
Mom, the link is here. I'm just gonna... Right here. There's the link. Oh, man.
Because I already know who watches this show.
Yeah. Just her.
just you, Mrs. Jar.
Oh, that's so funny.
No, but I mean, but like it's true though. Like it's scary. It's really scary if you're new. And so I get it.
How long have you been doing comedy for?
I think at this point, like almost 3 years.
Okay.
Oh, what about you?
I think I'm like 4.
Oh, okay.
I'm like 4.
Yeah.
If that, it might be around 3. That was around 3, then I stopped for that. Yeah, I think around 3, actually. 3.5 or 4.
But you could still count, like, 2020. Even though you took a break, I still feel like you're still in it. Like,
yeah, I guess I'm still in it.
Yeah.
About, like, 4 years then.
Yeah.
And then, but not as long, because I did improv first. So I was in improv, sketch comedy, and then that ended. I graduated from their program, and I'm like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm going to do stand-up.
Because did you ever get, like, into their troops or whatever?
Yeah, I was part of a few troops.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had like a 2-man show with this other guy named Patrick. And our name of it was Patrick is our middle name, which it was.
Oh, that's cool.
But we had to do 25 minutes of us characters or whatever improv.
That's cool.
Between us only, so it was so hard.
Oh, that does sound hard. And that's all. But do you do improv at all anymore? Or you stopped?
No, I stopped. I mean, I can do improv. I feel pretty comfortable to do it.
Yeah.
So like it'll translate well to whenever I do like acting or film thingies or whatever.
Yeah.
I just call it a film thingy. I want to point that out. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
You can tell how much I do that because I've called it a film thingy.
That's what all the people in the industry say.
Yeah, they film thingy. Hey, you want to work in this film production? Oh, it's a film thingy.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No, so I feel comfortable like in acting, and just because I have the improv, so I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
But it hit that point where I remember me and my friend, other Patrick, had like a terrible show, and it was because I felt like he wasn't giving me any back. It was like me doing everything. And I remember thinking, like, man, if I want to bomb, I want to, like...
Bomb by yourself.
I want to bomb by myself. Yeah. I want to bomb because I bombed in front of people.
I'm the same way because, like, you know, I'm a writer where I'm kind of like a loner, where it's like I like to be in control of my own work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, anything that I had to do with collaboration, like, I'm able to collaborate, but it's not my favorite thing to do. And so I really like the idea of stand-up.
Because you're better than everyone.
I think that you like diagnosed me, Mrs. Jara. Still comes to my class. I'm not a monster like Patrick is saying. But like, no, but I just like, but it's almost like group projects. I can still do them, but I just prefer by myself. And so the stand-up was the same thing, where I was like, no, I'd rather just go by myself, and if I fail, it's myself. And and I also thought that I hated other avenues because you're always so reliant on someone giving you a chance, versus stand-up is you just go up there and you either make the audience laugh or not. There's not some other barrier that stops people
That's
from
a good
seeing.
point.
Yeah, it really is just you.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And it's like one thing I like about stand-up is like if you're undeniable, you're
yeah, you don't need connections.
If you're crushing every night at whatever Laugh Factory comedy, so if you're like killing every night.
Yeah.
You're undeniable. You're something like.
Yeah, haters can't say you didn't make that room laugh.
Yeah, it's like
even if they don't like your stuff, you can hear the laugh.
Yeah, you can't be like.
Pretend. Yeah.
You're like, hey, man, you suck. You're not. I'm like, you
hear the
heard
laugh?
that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love about it too, is that like some people, they got egos and stuff, but when you see it on the stage, you're like, I can see on the stage whether or not you don't need to show off to me.
Mm-hmm.
I will see it when there. So.
That's true.
Yeah, but I love that because I hated like. When I moved out to LA, I originally was trying to do screenwriting. But
wait, where did you move from?
So I'm from Kansas originally, so very country. I came from Kansas, and I came out here because I wanted to be a screenwriter, but I didn't know like the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize screenwriting. It's like you're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole. It's like you got to get a director to like you, you got to get a producer, and then once like they take your script, they do whatever they want with it. The actors will change it based on like whatever, and it's not yours, and like no one knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where I'm kind of like. You have little control as a writer, and I was like, oh, this isn't really what I like to do. And so that was kind of a hard thing for me of like, oh, I got to do something else. That's why I kind of like the journalism thing better, because I was like, oh, it's just me interviewing someone else. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So screenwriting you don't do anymore? Or?
I still do screenwriting, but like rarely. So I have old scripts, and so I could like do stuff with those. I still have the skills. But like I don't sit there for fun and write a script anymore, because also it takes a long time, and I'm a little bit like... Are we gonna make this? And it's like, no, it's like I have other things to do.
I also do some writing, but it's one of those things. Not saying I took screenwriting in college, but I'm not for sure not like my friend Janelle is a writer. She writes every day. She has a bunch of scripts. Like
that's hardcore. Yeah.
She can write. I can write, but I wrote my pilot. But that's all I want to stick. I don't want to like
do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I can't. I know I couldn't be a writer. It's like
but they gotta be dedicated.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not dedicated.
Like I was at a time like when I first was out here, I probably wrote like 4 scripts a year at least.
Oh, Jesus.
But then when I realized I was like nothing's happening with these scripts, and it's taking me so much time, I just was like, I gotta take this energy and put it into somewhere else. So then I just moved on to something else. But I admire the people who can sit down and just do it.
So you like what you're doing now more with the Hustlers. And what is that exactly?
So I interview people. I also do like the magazine layouts. For
and Hustlers magazine, is that like the Playboy magazine, or is that different?
So it's similar to Playboy, except probably more extreme. It's probably more XXX. Like I think Playboy for the most part would probably be what do you call it, like softcore, and then Hustler's more hardcore. And so like Hustler, Hustler, the original, is kind of like.
This is the most anyone's that said Hustler on
I know.
this podcast.
I'm trying to like explain it correctly, but I'm like, how do I explain it? Because that magazine has like pictures of the girls, but also has some XXX images as well. But they also do specials that are like fully XXX as well. So I work on almost like, I don't know how many magazines they have, but I work on other magazines besides the main one.
Okay. And you just interview people for the magazine.
I interview people. I do like the layouts and stuff like that for certain magazines. So kind of just like a bunch of random stuff for them because I've been there about 6 years now.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you put one thing out like a while ago, like you're looking for people for hustlers or something. I'm like, and I kept thinking like hustlers, like the Playboy.
Similar Playboy,
and I was like,
but just very
but more
similar.
intense.
More intense.
That's my roommate.
That's
and before we
roommate.
started too, I was like, hey, man, I'm on the film, but just play your game, play whatever, just don't yell. And then like 2 minutes, like after that, before you got here, oh you motherfucker!
Oh, funny's gaming. Okay, I was on the phone.
No, he's super just gonna game.
Yeah. What were we talking about? It was
Your hustlers.
Oh yeah, so like whenever I interview people, so I'll interview them and the article itself is like whatever the topic was, but then the images will be very pornographic, and so sometimes to warn people, but at the same time it's like everybody likes attention, they still want media coverage, so it's fine, and it's still a major magazine, so it's not like not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, because sometimes I like when I ask people, I was like, oh, can I interview you? I kind of have to hope that they know it's a porno magazine because when I give them the clip will be covered with porno. Like, so they'll have their article, but also have porno all over it. So I have to kind of hope that they understand that.
What? So when you give them their clip.
Oh, clip. Oh, sorry. The article copy.
Oh, when you give them it's covered with porn.
Yeah. So like, let's say I interviewed you an article about like, let's say foot fetish or something.
Okay.
And then I gave you the article, but it wouldn't just have the words. It would have also all the images all over it, and the images are usually XXX. And so sometimes when I give people their article that they interviewed me for, I'm like, I hope that you realize that this is what I was going to give you, because usually I hope they do, but sometimes I'm like, oh my god, what if they didn't? And
I could just imagine, like if you were like, hey, Patrick, what you want? And I get interviewed for it, you send me a clip, and my mom's like, oh, you were on it. Like, send me the article. Here you go, mom. And just pouring around it. Like, fuck.
Yeah, so I have to be like, I hope you guys know what this brand is. Like, sometimes I just have to hope they know. But like, I'll meet new people, and they'll be like, I'll be like, I write for Hustler, and I try not to get too into it if they don't know about it.
That's fair.
But then they'll be like, oh, what do you write? And I was like, oh, I'm a journalist. And I just kind of ended at that. And then they're like, oh, but what do you specifically write? And I was kind of like, oh, I guess about sex. Like, it gets kind of awkward where I'm like, because it's not like Cosmo. It's like even more intense. So, sometimes it gets like, I get even uncomfortable for them because I don't know the level of like how comfortable they are. And I don't want to like cross a weird boundary with strangers.
You have to tell your mom or something like about before you started, because you're writing pretty much about sex for this thing. Yeah. Were they family just like cool with it, or you had to tell them like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna be doing this thing?
I used to kind of shield it from them, so like I also since I'm a freelancer, not a full-time person, I have always other gigs. So I used to just tell people about the other gigs.
Oh, okay.
But at this point, I like mainly write for Hustler, where it's like I don't have a lot of other gigs to shield anymore.
I feel you.
And so I'm a little bit like I either have to sound like I'm not working or just tell people what I actually do. So it's kind of like, so I think at one point my dad didn't think I had a job, and I had to just finally be like, I do have a job. He's like, what? And I didn't.
What did he say?
Yeah, because I think he thought I was like a hooker or something. He was like, what? And yeah, like, because he just thought like I lived out here and just made money but didn't work. Where like I was kind of like, no, I do have a job, but I think it's because I used to be so dicey about. I wouldn't tell people. Like only recently did I start. I think actually doing stand up made me more confident to tell people. Okay. Because I used to just tell people I write, and they would be like, for who? And I'd be like,
well, now you're just more open to it.
Yeah, because I used to be really like. I didn't know how people would react because it is like it's more hardcore than Playboy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you're like cool with everything. You're like, I'm confident. I'll talk about it. I'll tell whoever. Because now I see it posted all the time. And
now I tell people more. But now the thing is like, because when I initially would tell people, they got too excited and it like scared me.
That was another question I was gonna ask. Because I'm sure. Well, especially now you've been on like now you're on dating apps or you're.
They get weird.
That's my
weird.
That was my question because I know I've
yes.
done dating apps and it's just been crazy. I'm like, this shit's annoying. But I know how weird guys can be.
So weird, yeah.
So on apps when they find out like, oh, you work for that, they probably think like you're just like some.
They think crazy stuff and it just ruins it. Like there was this guy. I have a Zoom show on Saturday and I invited him. He actually got a ticket, and so I started talking to him and I was kind of like. He seemed nice. He's like a professor, so it seemed like he'd be like a nice dude. Well, when I told him I write for Hustler, and this is before the show starts, right? He starts to get nasty. He's like, "Oh yeah, I might have had some of your magazines at my house," and just started getting kind of nasty, and like without using explicit language, he was like just basically started to let me know how much he loves porn and just got too sexual, and I'm a little bit like, man. Can't you wait? It's almost like we're dating to the point where we're not trying to be friends, right? We're trying to date to form a romantic relationship. Yeah. But if you get nasty too early, it's like you ruined it. It's like weird.
Yeah, I was like, I have this knowledge, I have this thing, like, but you have to wait. Like just when we get there, I can show you the world.
But it's almost but that's kind of true, right? Like you met people before that you're like, why don't you play it cool? But when they get too like weird too early, you're like, you can't control how weird you are. I can't take you places because you're gonna say weird stuff to people. You're gonna, you just can tell they're not gonna be cool about it. So I was like, ugh. So I kind of ghosted him, and then I was kind of like, is he gonna go to this show?
I was about to ask you, did he go to the show?
I don't want him to go to the show.
Oh, it's coming up.
It's coming up.
What the?
And I don't know what to do because I'm like, he kind of ruined it. He got too nasty before the show. And so I'm a little bit like, I don't want him to even come to the show. And he bought the ticket, so whatever. But
so Saturday, you find out tomorrow.
I don't want him to come to the show.
I'm going to text you tomorrow after the show, and I'm going to ask how.
If he went.
Because you can check if he went. Or
I can see it. I can see it. But I don't want to. But I don't want to date him. He like texted me today, and I didn't respond because I was a little bit like.
You're just ghosting people.
I'm a ghosting people because they get too weird, and I think that's the issue. Is like, so that guess that's another reason why I used to not tell people, because the minute I told people I write for something like that, they think things about me, which I mean, granted, they're probably true, whatever they think about me, but also it's kind of like, it's almost like put me too vulnerable.
I can see that. So that's when you had told me, that was that question I had. I'm like, when you tell people I'll write for this, of course, right away they assume like, oh my god, she's probably
freaky
into this and really freaking sex all the time. Which, if you are, but it's like.
But
you can't just,
they can't hide it. It's almost like
it's just a weird thing.
They know too much. Where I'm a little bit like, but then I can't shield it because then it's also they're like, do you have a job? So it's either they think I'm a hooker
or unemployed.
No job. Yeah,
it's like there's no in between.
They're like, how's she afford that new Kia? It's like, yeah, my.
That's such a weird thing you're in right now. Because I can see what you mean by like.
If I don't tell people.
Yeah, you're like, oh man, she's at no job. There's nothing going for her, whatever. And if you're like, no, actually, I write for Hustle, you're like, oh, you write.
Yeah, I can't win. I can't win. And so I chose to just be the honest route. So now my new thing is I'm going to be honest. But yeah, that also opens up a weird door of this, like, people are just too weird with me. Like, and so I'm a little, like, I'm both very open, but also kind of, like, closed off. Where, like, if they exhibit the freaky, like, they're going to be weird to me thing, I immediately close them off. Because I'm like, I can't
I don't get why they can't just wait. Like,
they can't play it cool. But that means if they can't wait for that, how much other weird stuff are they going to be weird about? You know, like how they, and I was like, I can't bring them around comedians. I can't bring them around, like, you know, I know porn stars. I can't bring them around people. You know, it's like, I can't.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, I can't bring them into my world. They're not, they can't play it cool.
That's crazy. I never, like, that concept of, like, in the middle, like, it's like, I can see that.
It's like, just chill out, dude. Just don't say anything right away. Yeah.
Guys, just hold off a little bit longer. Just wait it out.
They can't. And then it's crazy too is that like on one app, I talked to a guy on the phone, and the app said I was a writer, didn't say for where, but then he was like, oh, so you write for Hustler? I was like, oh, that dude Googled me. But he didn't say anything freaky, but he did let me know he Googled me. So I was a little bit like, that's weird too.
Yeah, I would say it's a weird thing because like guys, like they'll see what they can get away with and what they can say to like, you know, like, oh, maybe she's into that. But if you're saying like you write for that, I'm sure like it's not little by little steps. It's probably bigger steps.
It's just too
it's just
big.
it's just like bam, like
yeah,
just
and that's
right over to like, hey, you. It's like just pretend that didn't work for this magazine. Would you say that to me normally?
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, but I do work for that magazine, so I have this very strange thing where it's like I'm both very understanding, but also just closed off. Where I'm a little bit like, I see why you say it, so I'm not mad at you, but I also don't want to get you to get close to me, kind of thing. Because there's enough people I know who are cool, who don't say creepy stuff, you know. So it's a little bit, it's weird. I
got you. Also, I want to do a quick time check. I know you got a tight schedule. So do you have your phone on you or no?
Oh yes, I do.
I'll just do a quick.
Check my phone.
It's 5:58.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
maybe I can do like a few more minutes unless you wanted to go.
I'll wrap it up with one last question, then we can.
Okay, cool. All right.
One quick question. So then, Hustler Talk was great. I know you gotta leave in a little bit.
I was like, men scare me. Take off. Mrs. Chara, don't listen to the last part.
Yeah, just all that part. Just I will just edit that out. No, that was good. It's actually very just curious to like know that because I didn't think that like I thought that mindset like, oh shit, I didn't even think how like hard that is to like.
It's a hard balance.
To navigate. It's a weird thing. I don't know. You're the only person I know who's in that
world.
Yeah.
And then it's weird because like I went on a date and like the guy I was dating at the time, he was really like he was cool with it. It was fine. But his friends, they were kind of like normal looking people where I'm like I don't know if I should tell them stuff. But then they were asking me, they're like, oh, what do you write for Hustler? I was like, wait, are you serious? I don't know what to tell you because we're like, just at a bar and I felt like skeezy. But it turned out he was like, they already knew he was weird, so they expected me to say weird stuff. Okay. But because I got weird about it, like I got uncomfortable, they felt uncomfortable. So I was like, I don't know. I've been there 6 years and I still don't know how to like act properly.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Shifting back to comedy for a second, real quick. So then. I guess I'll end it. So then you do teach comedy. So what advice would you give to like a new, comedian that's starting off today?
I think it's like you just gotta go up there and do it and not give up. Because I think the thing is like you will bomb. And then the thing is, most people though they bomb and they do quit. Like I think sometimes when I meet new people and they're too eager, they ask a lot of questions, but they're new. I'm like, are you gonna be here later? Like I don't know. I want to see you stick it out for over a year, and then I'll take you more seriously because a lot of people quit. Like they think it's gonna be all fun.
One bad bomb, and they're like, I'm out.
And they're out. But I guess that's the thing too. It's like I don't. If they want to try, I think that makes sense. I think that's cool. But it's kind of like it's a lot of hard work. It's not really. It's fun, but also not as fun as people think it is. It's like it's work.
Yeah, when it's going well, it looks like a lot of fun. But when I was trying to explain to my girlfriend, it's like when you're like at a show, she came to watch me at the Ice House, and I had a very good set. It was like full crowd. I'm like, this is fucking perfect. Yeah. But I'm like, you don't know how many times I went to mics and tried different forms of that story and bombed for weeks, and I was like, and bombed and tried shifting that word and that. And then finally got to where I'm like, this is a great 5-minute bit. Perfect. Yes. And then I present you the finished product. But I'm like, you don't get all
the work for 5 minutes.
It's like, bro, that's a lot. It's a lot for 5 minutes.
They don't realize all that work. It's like, it's the writing, it's the getting up there, it's the driving everywhere. It's like, it's a lot of work. And it's very, like, if you have to, like, oh, I have a good minute of this story. And then you go to a bad mic and you do the minute and it doesn't work. Then you're like, is this even funny? Like, I have to change the whole thing. It can be all changed from like one bad room or one bad mic. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, what if it's the room? It wasn't you. That's kind of hard thing. You have to just kind of know.
It's a weird thing.
That's why I like to try to. I don't know if this is a kind of a bad thing, but I now kind of know which mics I like, and I just keep going to those. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, is that going to help me grow if I keep going to like friendly ones? But then I'm also like, oh, is it going to help me grow to go where people are not going to listen to me at all? So
I think it builds you thicker. I always say like for stuff like that, it builds you thicker skin. Or like if you're uncomfortable, if you're out of your element and you go up there, it's only going to help. I think.
But I also wonder, though, if you're uncomfortable and where they don't even listen, is that even worth it? Right? Like, if they're not even listening, you could just be in your house.
But then you can also, like, find, if you notice on stage that they're not listening, then that means you're present and you can be like, hey, like Like, one thing I learned that I do to get people's attention more is sometimes I'll talk, like, or yell or whatever, but I'll talk off mic. Like, I think one time if I'm, like, talking, doing stand-up, I'm like, and then they did, oh my God, like, I would say it off mic, because just that level, that tone change, people are like, just that level of tone change.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And then right away you can hear, I remember one time a comic did that, and they yelled or something off mic, and you just felt that tone change. And, oh, that's good. And they looked, and they were engaged.
Oh, interesting. So it's almost a test of, can you get people back?
Yeah, then you try to find the way to get them back.
That makes sense.
So I caught myself doing that and didn't know I did that until I just said it right now.
No, that makes sense. You know what? I need to do that more. But sometimes, though, also, I have an added issue where I am a woman, right? Where it's kind of like, I don't want to go to places where it could be possibly scary.
That's a good point.
And so I have to kind of know that they're female friendly. And so I actually never go out to mics after 10 p.m. And I know that some women do, and it's like it's not just. But for me personally, I'm like late night mics. I'm like, unless I know like there are gonna be other ladies there, I don't want to go.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not lady, but I feel.
But you feel it. It's like I one time went to this place in Orange County, and like the owner, like he was like obsessed with my Instagram, and he kept like looking at it. And
you know what's funny?
He's like in love with my Instagram, and he was so creepy. And I was like,
I heard you talk about this on the Sunday mic.
Oh yeah.
I heard it live.
So connected.
I remember the day or right when it happened because you had to get it out.
I was so mad.
And I remember you were mad and you just vented. And it was a Sunday mic.
Yeah.
And over here, I was in the back. I heard the whole thing, and I think after I'm like, I think I talked to you after that sucks or whatever it is. But I remember. That's crazy, yeah.
But after that, I didn't ever go back there because I was like, I'm kind of scared, you know? So, and I was like, that dude was thirsty for me, so I can't go back. And that's kind of sucks as a lady where you're like, man, I can't go to these places. Some women will just deal with it, but I don't want to deal with it. I feel like there's enough options that I don't have to go scary.
You don't have to, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I do feel bad for people who don't have options. Where it's like they're in a small town or something and
it's like, well, just that mic every Monday, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, but luckily with LA, I'm like, I don't need to do this. I can even start my own mic in LA. That's the cool thing about LA. It's like, oh, this place is crappy. I'll go start my own, which is nice.
Yeah, which is what I'm going to do.
That's what you're going to do, and I'm going to go there because yours is not going to be scary.
No, so it'll be dope. Well, I didn't want to take up too much of the time, but definitely have to do this again. Definitely have more time. I know we were going to do it earlier, and I had to push it back a little bit.
Oh, this works out even better because I'm like heading out to work out, and I work out in Glendale, so I was like,
you work out in
nice.
Glendale?
Yeah, I go to Orange Theory in Glendale.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, so that's why I was like, oh, if I go there at 5, then I could leave here and go to my class. Yeah, so the timing was perfect.
Well, there you go. I did that on purpose. I mean,
yeah, it was you. Yeah, so I actually appreciated the time. Yeah.
Okay, that works out.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
all right. I appreciate you coming on. Definitely do it again. And that is the end of the episode.
And thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
I'm going to be like, bye, Miss Jar.
Bye, Mrs. Jar.